Back here for our first in-person poetry slam since 2019. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ann Reyes Frazier. I'm the librarian here at Franklin High School, and this is our first in-person library event this year, and you're at it. Thank you. Okay, we have 19, fantastic, just incredible Franklin students who are sharing their poetry with you today. They're here, they're sharing their poems, you're here, you're watching them, and we have 4 amazing judges, so let me tell you about those people.
I can't do the stairs.
Is Jackson Grace here? Okay. You never know how it's gonna go. All right, so welcome to the Poetry Slam. So the way it's gonna run, there's me, that's Ann Frazier. First round are all of our poets will share a first round poem. Everybody's got a poem that they will say up here. The time limit is 3 minutes for their poem. Once they get past 3 minutes and 10 seconds, they'll start to lose some points. After round 1, we'll have an intermission with some snacks and drinks for you. Wet your whistle, get that energy up, enjoy those snacks. And then we'll have round 2. The top contestants from round 1, the top points getters from round 1 will segue into round 2 and compete with a second original poem. We will be sending 3 Franklin poets to the citywide slam Verslandia this year. I'm so excited. That will be back in person at the Arlene Schnitzer Auditorium, and 3 Franklin students will be there at Verslandia. The winners will be announced right at the end, and we will be recording the program if you have to leave early, or if one of your friends or family members wasn't able to make it tonight, we will have that recording that we can share with them. Okay. So, huge thank you to Hazel True, our music DJ for the evening. Thank you, Hazel. Sydney Whitehead is assisting on sound. Thanks, Sydney. We've got our faculty advisors, Pam Garrett and Dana Vinger. Thank you for pumping up the kids. Sunny Childs has been here for workshop support and honestly just general poetry slam support, and is the origin of the poetry slam is right there with Sunny Childs. So thank you, Sunny. Desmond's band was doing our performance workshop, and Eleanor Parks and Avi are our math geniuses this evening, doing the math so that we don't have to. A huge, huge, huge thank you to our PTSA. Without PTSA, this event would not be possible. PTSA is providing the funding for both the prizes and those delicious snacks that I hinted at earlier. We are thankful for you, PTSA. Woo! I do have to share a trigger warning for our audience members. Some of the topics, poetry comes from the heart, and sometimes it's really raw. I am sharing a trigger warning with you that some of our poems contain some mature language. I noticed a couple of kiddos in the audience. We can give you a heads up before that happens. There is some mature content, including some info about eating disorders and self-harm. So that is just so that you have all the information before we get going. These poems are real and true and full of emotion and full of real life. So we're moving into that. I just want everybody to have all the info. Okay, now I'm going to introduce our amazing judges. We are so lucky to have 4 top-notch judges with us tonight. We've got our principal, Chris Frazier. I'm going to go the clipboard so that I can do it around. Okay, Chris Frazier is the principal of Franklin High School. You may know him as our principal. Chris Frazier's slam experience involves 7 years of slam judge experience, so quite a resume. Chris Frazier's favorite places to spend time in Portland are the Japanese Rose Garden and the Oregon Zoo, of course. If Chris could learn to do any skill, it would be to play the piano or to become bilingual. So, Chris, we're going to surprise you tonight. We brought a piano out just for you. Come on up. Just kidding. Okay. Our next fantastic judge, you may know Amanda from Step Up. Amanda Mayornik. Amanda Mayornik is a counselor with Step Up and has attended at least 3 years at the Franklin High School Poetry Slam and Verslandia. Amanda has always wanted to be a Poetry Slam judge, so tonight we're making Amanda's dreams come true. Thanks for being here, Amanda. If Amanda could learn any skill, it would be to become a hacker. I mean, computer coding. And in case you didn't know, Amanda hates olives. All right. Our next wonderful judge, the one and only Jenna V Reyes. Our very own Sun Site Supervisor. Genevieve's new in that position this year, but has been in the audience for a few poetry slams in the past. Genevieve likes to hang out at the park blocks, and you can sometimes find Genevieve going to a movie theater as well. Genevieve is interested in learning a little bit more about how to develop like old-fashioned camera film. All right, it's a good skill to have. Okay, our last but not least amazing judge, Kim Livesay, is. You may know Kim as a social studies teacher here at Franklin High School, but what you don't know about Kim is that Kim is a Poetry Slam superfan. Kim will do anything to attend a Poetry Slam. Kim says, I love watching Poetry Slams. I've been to every single Verslandia and used to take middle school students there. Okay, so as you can imagine, pretty familiar with the Poetry Slam. We have a wonderful, wonderful panel of judges. Oh, and Kim is hoping to learn how to speak French. So, just enchanté. All right. We're French fries. Okay, our wonderful panel of judges has the terrible task of judging our poets. We know that they're all amazing. Our judges are going to put that into a numerical format. You may agree or disagree with their judging, but we know that they're working hard to do almost an impossible task. I do have something that I was going to share. Mason, are you available? Okay, this is Mason. Sorry. We have this fun thing where I call him Mason, and he's like, no, I'm Duncan. And then, it's just this like funny back and forth.
I know this is a poetry slam, so I have a quick little poem to share with you guys, which is, donate to prom, please. It would be the bee's knees. So,
All right, here we go. Our first poet of the evening is Ruby Mae East.
Hi, okay. My piece is called Girl 13. I avoid every man I see on the street. You can call it sexist, I have to call it safety measures. Say not all men, I say too many. Never walk alone at night, don't open the door, don't be followed, followed, followed. Ever. I knew as I got on that bus to avoid that man. I knew, sit in the back, alone, I knew. The hair, greasy and black like a crow died on his head, unwashed like his consciousness, black. The absence of light, absence of joy. The clothes, ripped, stained pants, the bulky sweatshirt, hiding, secrets, plans, hands, itching. Souvenirs of the places he had been that he shouldn't have, doing things that he shouldn't have. The eyes, beady and soul-sucking, eager, following, following, following. My hands shook as I reached to pull the grimy yellow wire. My escape, unless he stands as I do, crossing to the door, following. The eyes, following, following, following. I knew, Get off, thank the driver. Walk fast, but he's faster. Puts a hand over my mouth and around my wrist. The hand smelled like fear, no escape, unapologetic. Don't be followed, followed, followed. Too late. I knew, into a car so dark, it drives along the street like the tears making a path down my cheeks. Trees whipping by outside, arms reaching but still too far. The sky, gray and angry, so far. My head distant from my body, so far. Fetal position, but as far from a baby as I will ever be. I knew. I was followed, followed, followed. What were the chances? Why me? What were the chances? 30%. 1 out of every 3. 1 out of every 3 women sexually assaulted in their lifetime. Not me. I'm not even a woman. Girl, 13. Thank you.
Our next poet won his middle school poetry slam and went to the second round in his freshman year. He took 2 years off due to online school, but he's back and better than ever. He'd also like to learn how to snowboard. Our next poet is Evan Lewis.
My front gate shrieks when I open it. It cries out loud, a resounding screech, reaching my ears loud and clear in the shrouded evening. Pinks tinge the tips of wispy clouds, power lines spiderwebbing into the distance, mirroring the splitting cracks in the asphalt and the scrambled branches, shadows refracting against bright streetlights. I stretch my arms towards the night, intertwining the lines on my palms with constellations shining sacred light upon my first steps, separating me from my home. My legs trace double yellow lines into the west hills, airplane signals blinking softly, dancing waltzes in Morse code, a lighthouse against the silhouette of sunset. Stomach churning, legs burning, heart aching, yearning as music from my headphones whirls in my head, tones twirling me onward toward my destination, unknown. Rising higher above the city lights, higher than the scattered chattering of my mind's eye, time flies and so do I, gliding mindlessly on an incline, trees perpendicular to my ascent. Rising, the road bends at my feet, hands jammed into fists stuck deep in my leather jacket pockets like I was grasping at pearl necklaces or maybe a brass locket. As my city passes me by, I can't help but recognize the vibrance, the life ebbing and flowing at my fingertips, the pinpoints punctuating sets of square city streets in three-point perspective. I reach the hill's peak. I never realized how freeing it is to be alone before I started to explore. In finding my city, I define myself. I feel at home here, in the middle of nowhere. I can raise my arms to the sky like sloped wings, my closed-off home life trapped inside computer monitors is far behind me. I can dance rather badly, romantically overlapping my hands with that of passive traffic on the overpass. I can badmouth my family and no one will get mad at me. And even more common than F-bombs attacking family gatherings is the nagging reaction, a rancid revelation, a wince as a sour taste embraces my tongue. I am so small. I'm concerned about college in California and cutting costs accordingly. I feel like an accountant, but beyond the bubble of my own bedroom, bathroom, and bank account, the universe is existing and giving no shits whether I sit studying literature and integers in California or spit rhymes in a library among Oregon pines. My front gate shrieks when I open it. Each cry a reminder to take life a little bit more lightly, because as just minutes pass, address digits begin to slip away and pink-tinged wispy clouds and melancholy sounds drown out the background noise, the commotion of college admissions and big decisions and my own inhibitions. And if I listen hard enough, I can hear the universe existing. And I know as long as I can explore it, I will be okay.
is new to slam poetry, but not new to Franklin High School. You can find her hanging out at Laurelhurst Park occasionally. She has a cat and a dog and is a former snake owner. I feel like there's a story there. Perhaps we'll hear it tonight. Our next poet is Sonia Smith Catakar.
Take your hands, you pull at the words caught in my throat. Rearrange them, I'll tell you anything you like. Bite off my tongue and you think I sound so pretty. I keep my windows open to let in summertime's night. You reached out and caught my favorite star. I'll watch as it burns a hole in my open hands, and I won't let go, but it's funny how much less things are in the weight of your hands. Moths circle my bathroom lights who got lost on their way to the moon. The three things I'm most afraid of: growing up, dying, and love not being something I can reach out and catch. I am not your moon, and our bumbling hands spill water on my not yet dry portrait. I'm bleeding out, no time blurs my face. Skinnier, prettier, smoother. I am unwinding, I can be thread at your fingertips before how long. You tell me, do not look me in the eyes while I speak to you. Do not take up space between shaking breaths. Do not speak your mind, it's silent between my skin and my shadow. Bite into a shiny apple and it may be full of worms. If I could peel off my skin, bugs would crawl from my insides. But it doesn't matter because if all that was left was my face, you would see me the same. So mold me, retouch me, shape me with your requisition. I will crumble in the worn of your fingertips. My only connection to womanhood is through your eyes, and I'm destined to be trapped in a body that isn't my own until I die. My mama spun me in circles. I could dance before I could walk, to be loved before I could spell out the word. Beautiful even if I wasn't pretty, and now I'm just afraid.
Is sharing poetry in front of a crowd for the first time tonight. This person would love to learn how to crochet one day, but today you might be able to find her at Unique Tea in Portland. This person is Audrey Lynch.
I am not scared of the world. I am not scared of dark alleyways or crowded streets. I fear no candy-covered house or needles freshly cleaned. I am not scared of the world. I am not scared of beady-eyed bugs or monsters under the bed, when doorknobs jangle or an apple is offered by a benevolent queen. I am not scared of the world. I am not scared, but I am terrified that the locker slamming closed, sending a crushing wave of silence through the room, never releasing its grip till sound comes through, hoping that sound will not be a scream, which proceeds to send students sprinting away from impending doom. I am petrified that the monsters under the bed may not be scaly or green, spiky or mean, gross and unseen, but perfectly human. All 10 fingers and toes with eyes ever so keen, looking like me, but so evil and unforeseen. I am not scared of the world. I am not scared of the, I am not scared of, I am not scared, I am not, I am, I. Wish that this verse I repeat in hopes to recede far away from the fright our big, bright, turning world always seems to rewrite will someday stop, halt and return to the days when monsters were scaly and I wasn't afraid.
Thank you, Audrey. Our next poet plays 5 instruments, but doesn't play the guitar yet. Another boba tea fan. This person hasn't had any poetry slam experience until today, but is a big poetry slam YouTube fan. It's Georgia Newman.
Freshman year. A supposed fresh start, new friends, new school, new issues, new insecurities. When I was called fat in middle school, I never believed it because you weren't supposed to. No one's fat, right? Everyone's beautiful, so why did the word exist? I'd always heard about eating disorders in television and the media, but never understood how someone could do that. Just eat, right? It's easy. I laughed at that thought, crying over a piece of toast and an apple, jumping for joy when the bathroom scale said I lost 5 pounds in a week. No one can know about the voices that fill my stomach so food doesn't have to. No one seems to notice as my eyes sunk in and my waist got unbearably thin. Not enough water to fill the empty well that is your stomach. Not enough sit-ups to lose 30 more pounds. Not enough people who care to hold you and say everything will be okay. Nobody tells you about the blanket of hair your body grows, trying to keep your starving pile of bones warm. You know you have issues when the other people in your therapy group is an 8-year-old boy who flushes sandwiches down the toilet and a football player scared of crunchy food. I was just another anorexic girl. Skinny, but never skinny enough. I am now reclaiming my narrative. I don't ache for the flashing blue numbers on that scale that I worship like the Bible. The words I already ate used to be the peak of my vocabulary. I don't remember the last time I said that without air quotes. I'm reclaiming who I was before my brain poisoned my body with thoughts and words. No more crying over unspilled milk. I am healthy. I am beautiful. I am enough.
Thank you, Georgia. All right, you will probably recognize our next slam poet. This person competed last year and had a lot of fun, even though it was stressful. If this person could learn any skill, it would be animation. You might also know their cat, Quinn. No Quinn fans in the crowd? Yeah, Quinn! It's Fiona Constantine.
They tell you not to play with fire. They tell you it will hurt when you flirt with death. They tell you it will burn. They tell you, and you never learn. Fire is not the enemy. The enemy is how you feed the flames higher until they devour the entire world. You deny her of this crisis because it lets you acquire power you think you require, and this land grows ever drier, and the fire tires of one forest. Then the next, they tell you not to play with fire. But you don't just play, you are inspired by the way it destroys, like it's your toy that you can employ to do your bidding. You get to play with fire without getting burned, you don't have to learn. Fire is your little captive pet you can keep on a leash and muzzle when you want it quiet and use to suppress the riots, and you don't care if your fingers get a little singed, you've got more to spare. When the air is unfit to breathe and the land seethes with heat, and the beat of its heart utters its last prayer. Will you care? Will you care that one day there will be nothing left as the fire tires of one forest, then the next, then the next, then the next? This planet is shriveling to a hollow shell. We are telling you not to play with fire. But you don't follow the rules. You pick and choose what applies to you. We are begging you. We are pleading as the ice keeps receding, as our wounds keep bleeding, as you keep feeding the flames higher until this entire world dies. We tell you not to play with fire, but you think you never need to learn because you're not the one it burns. We are the ones dying. We are the ones starving. We are the ones scorched. The scourge upon this land will outlast you, all so you can make sure no one has passed you. And well, the death of this world was preventable. You say it's lamentable. Our circumstances are so dire. We told you not to play with fire.
All right, another first-time poetry slam poet. This person likes to hang out at Mount Tabor Park, maybe running up the stairs. If you know how to French braid and want to teach them how to do that, they'd love to connect with you. And I hope you don't mind, but they had a pet tarantula at one point. This person is Wrigley Cook.
A letter to my best friend. You and I, and between us, a promise. Lying on a mattress on the floor, lying on a mattress on the floor, both on the brink of death. My friend, you leave behind a path of smoke with fury and love that blinds reason. You burn your world down with you. There is more to see than the dirt in front of your feet, beloved creature with the burning sting. Reflections are deceiving. Look at yourself in their pupils. River of vigor, you split yourself open and find the cardinal floods of earth. I watch your shoulders droop lower with each exhale, this promise tying you to the ground. You are a windy grassland, and I love you in an eternal way. Like even if I never saw you again, my feelings couldn't fade, even if it hurt you to see me, even if you hated me. Do not forget the broken bones and crooked grins, your Dora the Explorer cape twisting in the wind when we were just 4. Watermelon dripping from our chins, off-key melodies of Elsa and Anna sounding so god-awful, laughter burns our chests, or the silence that comes with those who know each other best. Our power as pranksters and inventors, mischievous plans are hatched, the force of our belly laughter is unmatched. I know the pain has made it hard to breathe, but neither of us sink in the heaviness of suffering. My greatest friend, my love, my sister. A world without you, your clawed fingers, selfless heart, and sharp tongue. It's a world I don't want to be a part of. It was the two of us and a promise, which is broken if not kept a promise. We will make it out of here. We will start that bakery. I never want to read that stupid letter you wrote to tell me goodbye. Stick around a little longer. This agony is ephemeral. One day you might understand why I couldn't keep silent. We could cuddle like when we were young, lying on a mattress on the floor, lying on a mattress on the floor, promising to persevere. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for just about the best audience I've ever met. I really appreciate you. Yeah, give yourself a hand. We all went on a field trip together. I feel so close to you now. We've been on this journey. All right, moving into our next poet. This poet, it's their first year doing a slam. They've been writing for a long time, but haven't been performing for very long at all. You can find this poet hanging out at the park during the summertime. And in addition to poetry, they love to write fan fiction and are currently writing an original story. This poet is Lucy Walnut.
My poem is called Fed Up. Amanda Gorman once said, using your voice is a political choice. I take that as a challenge, because I definitely don't want to talk about Texas and Florida pushing my community back into the 1960s with their laws. I'll just keep my mouth shut. About police brutality, Asian hate crimes, and people being racist assholes, even though the only difference is the color of someone's skin and their features. We all know I don't feel like saying anything about the bullshit going on in Ukraine and how stupid people are being by hanging around Chernobyl like it's not an extremely radioactive nuclear power plant. And who wants to hear a 15-year-old rant about women's rights and how they were born in a body that will be catcalled, respected less than men, and so much other crap that if I talked about it all, it would go way over the 3-minute timer. Don't make it political, they say. I already did. And I decided to make it even more political because I never wanted to do the challenge. Because I am fed up. Fed up with the fact that my right to marry a woman is constantly being voted on, and my right to express my non-gender is being judged by people who don't even know my name. Fed up that people who may be the nicest people in the world are being targeted just because they don't look like they haven't been in the sun for a couple hundred years. Fed up that someone decided to invade Ukraine on claims of Nazi activity and genocide with no proof of either. Fed up that I am constantly on high alert or walking in the dark alone even when I'm barely 2 steps away from my house. I am fed up with this world, so I'm going to make a political choice and start using my voice.
Thanks, Lucy. All right. Our next poet is competing in a poetry slam for the very first time. Enjoys hanging out sometimes at Clackamas Town Center. If he could learn any skill, and he's working on it, he is working on learning how to dunk. Originally from Marysville, give it up for Darius Zarak.
I told her to stay and she told me to go. Listening to what I say, my eyes start to glow. Going through my brain all day, she don't even know. Ooh, they don't know my flow. Yeah, I'm really wishing and I'm really trying to tell her. Yes, I keep it pushing, but I don't want to mail her. Don't want to mail her, never kiss and tell her. Stay with me forever, send another letter. Let us be together, let us be together. Stay with me forever. Ooh, yeah, I told her to stay and she told me to go. Listening to what I say, my eyes start to glow. Going through my brain all day, she don't even know. Ooh, they don't know my flow. I told her to stay with me and all things will fall in place. If you ask for anything, I'll get and cooperate. The things that reciprocate, I'll really appreciate. Things that you do and you never disintegrate. Told her to stay, now I tell her to go. She betrayed me, no she don't, but I'll never know. If she did, then I am sad, cause I'll never flow. Ooh, never let go. Yeah, I'm really wishing, and I'ma keep it pushing. Never wanna listen, now I steady dissing, and I gotta make decisions. Your body really glisten, and I'll be steady kissing. Living with the vision, I'll be steady giving, and I got a superstition. Yeah, I told her to stay and she told me to go. Listening to what I say, my eyes start to glow. Going through my brain all day, she don't even know. Ooh, they don't know my flow.
Thank you, Darius. All right, our next poet is no stranger to the Poetry Slam, including being a presenter at Verselandia in years past. This person is looking forward to learning how to crochet funky sweaters and loves the summer. Give it up for Shayla.
On the day we met 2 years ago, handle with care was written all over you. You've never had a lover, and my intro to love left me torn and confused on how to treat angels like you. But your ethereal wings squeezing onto my body, your sweet scent wafting into my nose, was the universe saying you're my chance to change before we ship off to separate places. We were engaged in each other, Since that rainy morning in the coffee shop, we shared our life stories with a side of lattes and baklava. We both knew we were sprinting too quick up that intimate hill, but we had no care in the world because we desired that heart-pulsating thrill, and still that thrill continues to stick. And I'll admit the way you've impacted me makes me feel sick, because after all my crying, petty arguing, and moments of despair, you still love me like a package labeled "Handle with care," and I am aware that in my moments of despair, I am blinded by your labels that tell me to handle you with care. But in those moments, I hope you know your existence can never be compared, not even to the angels that gain their wings when our souls are being embraced in the end. I will kiss the wounds and tape them back together, and assure you that my passion isn't going anywhere. Even when obstacles feel impossible to cross, what's more impossible is you being totaled in my mind. Because you're a work of art that brightly shines in my museum of things that bring back my drive. You're the main attraction, you're my muse, and you're my Venus that I show off with queer pride. With how unbreakable we are, I never thought the flame would dim. But you got into your dream school, our bond having 2 more months to fully live. Realizing how quick time is ticking drives me to tears and fears of you finding someone better, someone who when you meet isn't emotionally battered, someone whose bullshit doesn't make them shatter, someone whose anxiety doesn't dominate the thoughts in their brain matter. But these thoughts feel less real. Because of your devotion, it'll be hard to say goodbye, but easy to say I'm proud of you with true emotion. Because when a bond tight like knots, it's picked at to unravel. It may loosen a bit, but it continues to stay intact. And I know for a fact, when you love something, you need to let go. It'll be painful to loosen grip, but soothing to see your art grow. Reminiscing on our vulnerability and drive reminds me when we let go, our love will never die. But until then, I hope when you're 8 hours ahead in this city of love, bringing life to the beauty that lives in your mind, you can look back in time and see how much you and your dreams mean the world to me.
Shayla. Our next poet would like to get a little bit better at producing music. Has a cat, a dog, and 5 chickens. And no stranger to Verslandia. You know her as Anna Gunderson.
Let's go,
Anna Gunderson.
With the idea of falling in love. I watched the other girls in my grade blush and giggle as the big, tough boys who played soccer at recess flounced by, all sweaty and gleaming with masculinity. I was somewhat of a wallflower. No one cared all too much. I wasn't the center of dramatic confessions in elementary school like some of the girls I knew, but sometimes people would ask me which cute boy I dreamed of kissing behind the swing set. And it was easy enough to brush them off with an I don't know or a no one right now, but the truth was, there never was one. Because there was something about me with my perfect little books and essays, my long swooshy hair, my quietly raised hands in cooperation with straight girl stereotypes that just screamed heterosexuality to the world. So I let it go. I watched gorgeous girls strut down the hallway. I felt my palms slick with sweat and my stomach drop as I pushed it away because it couldn't be me. I had to be perfect. I had to look perfect. I had to embody the definition of a girl who does what she's supposed to do, and this didn't fit. Besides, it's fine. You like boys, you want boys, you want to kiss boys, you touch boys, right? Little 11-year-old me felt so lost. And then a thought surfaced that could solve everything. Maybe I just want to look like her, with those beautiful curves in the right places, hair that spirals out like the breath of sunshine on the darkest day, soft lips that look like they sing lullabies to the world's breaths that make her shine like rainstorms. Maybe if I looked like that, boys would look at me with the same sense of dreamy wonder. So
I tried to slim my body down, to carve it into that soft feeling I got when I looked at her, but the edges were too jagged, the lines too rough, so I just kept going further and further. I carved and withered myself away. Just keep going, and one day the world will look at you like that. One day a beautiful boy will look at you like that. I remember looking down at the cracked leftovers of my body and thinking it looked nothing like those goddesses that tossed their hair and walked by my classroom strutting like an angel. And if I could transform this mess into perfection for you, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would rather be anyone else than this collection of discarded pieces, but I'm stuck the way I am. I changed myself as a manifestation of the things I thought I could never have. But when I see the girls walk by my classroom, I see what they have instead of what I don't. Sometimes I still want to look like them, but watching from the distance is enough.
Thank you, Anna. Our next poet is also interested in MMA. This person is a new addition to the poetry slam scene, but I don't think that we're going to be hearing the last of him tonight. It's 3D on the stage, Imani Guy.
Okay, we're gonna lighten the mood. Let's hit up with something that I call I Am That Dude. Okay, look people, I really am that dude. I cannot lie, sometimes I think I'm screwed with the rhymes that I might comply to my fucking mind, cause it's really am the day that I light and I shine. Like seriously, man, think of rhymes. Man, I know that I ain't got the time, but I'm really fly with these bars. I'm calculated, just like a calculator. Really, just like a calculator. I am that man singing in front of all these fans. They don't know that I don't got no bands, but I'm really just doing this without a hand, literally. Doing it without a hand. Man, I got a plan to be the best. That's the plan. Man, I'ma really win this. Man, I gotta show out for this hit list. Yeah, gotta show out, gotta pop out, gotta flow out, gotta mess out. Already know that I gotta mess, but it's still something I got too complex. Man, I really am that dude. Yeah, I really ain't that screwed. Gotta find out how I could come true. Gotta find out how I am that dude. Take the vibes, I really ain't that scary compared to other dudes, man, it really is hairy. I'm not really just all that complex, but I already know that I'm really black enough and that's facts. But I am that man with a plan, the dream that might stand. Maybe I got it in my hand, maybe I got it in my bag and now it still stands. So hands up, clap with me as we sing. All I know is that I got it in vain. Already know that I got it now and I want the flow and I take the title crown. I take the title crown, they really know me now. My flow is singing and bound, really cannot stop me with it now. Cannot stop my flow, already know that I'm trying to hit my goals. So when you see me and I'm singing this full, I will never be scared again. My life is a 10 out of 10, hit high school as a grown man. Now I gotta see my dangerous plans. Let's go.
Is another fresh Poetry Slam entrant, another bubble tea person. We got a lot of poetry, bubble tea crossover.
Uh-oh.
Cleanup on 905.
You dropped your cash. Amani, you dropped your cash.
This person has a pit bull as a pet and is also a poet. Sophia Di Benedetto.
I try not to think,
Get every thought out of my head. Don't focus, don't stress, don't show emotion. Just sit and do my best to breathe. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just breathe. Don't undershare, but don't overshare. Be the perfect girl, but you should just be you. You can speak out, just don't make anyone mad. Keep a good relationship with everyone. Play nice. Breathe. Be the perfect child, just don't act like it. Get good grades and make no mistakes. Have a good job in education, but don't plan it out. Do what you're told, but never ask for help. Never admit when you're lost. Why do you lose interest so quickly? Arguing will get you nowhere. Breathe. Just breathe. Don't leave people out. Stand up for what you believe in, but don't go against anything. Be an extrovert. Just don't be too out there. Make sure everyone's happy. Breathe. You need to eat more, but not too much. Shave all your body hair, but make sure you look natural. Have long hair, but you look so cute with it short. Just breathe. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Calm down. Focus. Stop stressing. Don't cry. Just breathe.
This next poet is a returning member, but still feeling nervous about it. Her favorite place to hang out in Portland is Hollywood or the Academy Theater. Hoping to learn how to salsa dance one day. Name rhymes with banana. It's Quintana Jones.
Good evening. She and him rode a tandem bike, baby blue with big bubbly seats. Her freckles were earthy, floating over a toothy smile you could count. She showed me how to measure the distance between seeds with the length between your knuckles, just about an inch, but not quite with my little girl hands. I pulled up a baby carrot, a real one, with roots dripping down, not the big ones carved down. She chewed her nails. She threw pots. She had armpit hair you could braid. Their home was tight and clean, a square table with 4 wooden chairs, void of flares, but a simple comfort. She and him took me sledding. I had a puffy pink coat, and the doggy had his booties. That doggy went just as fast as me, heedless down the hill into pure white peaks of acceptance. I was the age of racing raindrops on the car window until a big one ate them both up. I wasn't the age of asking questions about the edges to the shape of a person yet. She was my favorite hippie, and that was all that I cared about. Kids don't like to stare at the ugly because it's slippery. She was never slippery, but smooth like a river rock. And one day, a kid man decided to skip her. I am a ripple. Mama and Dad took us to the simple house. Molly wasn't there. Her wooden chair belly up with legs in the air like Kid Man had wanted her. I couldn't see Mama behind her eyes, and my brother's big blue ones looked at me. Why is everyone making tears at this boring party? I made up an answer like a good big sister. He was in a bike race, no more tandem. We came to see him sweat, beads on the face of his bald head. That was the first time I ever pooped in the woods. She and him had taken me and the doggy down snowy peaks, and now he needed to climb. Molly's mama had 2 hurricane blonde boy grandkids. I couldn't decide if I wanted to kick their asses at tag or tell her a story about when Molly got me ginger ale once. I chose tag. Molly's mama knew about the pond where her smooth rock lay, thrown to sink into the silt by that kid man who was alone and wanted to feel her smoothness. Molly's mama told the court he shouldn't sink too.
Our next poet has participated in Slam Boo as a 4th and 5th grader. Their favorite place to hang out is here at school. And it's Rianne Moore.
At the end of the story, there's always has to be somebody waiting for you. He opens the door, there's an autistic person waiting patiently, angrily, only to please he does not understand. At the end of the story, he walks into a crowded street, not knowing where to go or to live for, only knowing the road in front of him, black pavement below a white sky, every day. Every day, he awakens into a new world, new story, new hope, and new future. He does not understand chasing cats to a horizon where dogs are allowed. At the end of the story, the door closes and things just look the same, just too damn gray.
Coming up next, a veteran poet of 4 years and another Verslandia competitor. You can find her at Mount Tabor, dancing ballet, when she's not writing her book. This is Lily Rudine.
I'm here, centered and unafraid, ready to start the day. I'm prepared. To all those who dare attempt to make me crumble, I will reply to you humbled, but humored, at your foolish desires to attempt to subdue her in her majesty's temple of an undefeated survivor. You can't see through me. I am the unfazed, remained ungrazed, stoic and unyielding in my emotionless face. I'm always calm, never once gone off like a bomb. I can snap my fingers and my enemies would be gone. The unbreakable surface of my personality always standing strong. But looking in the mirror, I realize that isn't true. Knowing now that my reflection has been lying to you, I need to tell you that behind these 24/7 guarded walls, I rarely have a plan of attack. My fear preventing every step forward and further pushing me back. Sometimes I feel like my mind is a trap. So I won't let anyone in unless I'm ready for my psyche to snap instead of turning in a different direction using my pre-made roadmap. Underneath this cold, hard surface, I'm afraid the ice will crack and pull you under. That the freezing water of my mind will force us to sunder, that you'll drown in my mistakes because of a preventable blunder. It's all enough to awaken me from my slumber, but in comparison in my head, I consider myself outnumbered. It's wanting to be open with you that reminds me how my mind isn't like this just to keep you out, but to keep me in, as if I'll destroy this world by unleashing what's buried within. I wish I wasn't taught to see my confidence as a sin. But looking in, you'll see these mirror reflectives pool into my eyes, see the surface serenade, the subtle sacred signs, my color colliding in coils, caging in my cascades to convey and gravitate a gifted glory gleaming from my ghostly gaze, gripping me tightly. But why succumb to that fate? Beneath the surface, I am in a fit of rage, carrying in day to day, crumbling from the weight of my stone stoic face every day. Beneath the surface, I'm moving with the intensity of waves in a storm of every word I can't erase, remembering that the unspoken things I create are not mistakes, forever fighting to reclaim the throne and take my place, forcing myself against the stone barriers until causing them to break. And I'm forever able to be myself, starting anew, realizing that I deserve to feel powerful too. I'll finally reach out to you. So now that I've knocked down my once indestructible fortress with these verses, tell me, what's beneath your surface?
Loves to hang out at a bookstore. Wishes she could learn how to do a backflip, but don't bring any monkeys near her because she is afraid of them. It's Frankie Silverstein.
I've been crying a lot lately. So much so that my eyes may forever reflect the milky white sky, like the eyes of a rotting cow. I'm drawn to sadness, like flies are drawn to her. She lays there so beautiful and broken. I hope in the next life she's meant for more. The sky seems to agree. It's not milky white any longer. Sadness has poisoned the IV, and the fluorescent lights of the hospital are filled with 1,000 dead mosquitoes. One for each of my dreams. Perpetually carsick, gutted like the earth, where highways remind me of my blue-green veins. In the mirror, they look purple. In the mirror, I look happy. I've been crying a lot lately for that cow, left by everyone she ever loved. Did she love them enough? Did she love them? The only ones who ever came close to loving her were those flies. But is it love when it's hunger? Are you supposed to be starving before you can be loved? Cows have 4 stomachs. Can I have 4 hearts? I think I'm going to need them the way I'm running through this one. If you hide something long enough, eventually it starts to fall apart. I cry for every animal I've ever seen, dead, alive, or somewhere in between. But are my tears really for them if I've been weeping like an open wound since I could try to breathe? I've been crying a lot lately, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop. The ghost of the mosquitoes still drone. The ghost of that cow still groans. And I still cry for every animal that looks a little too much like me.
This poet has a dog and would also like to learn how to develop photos from film. A great skill to have for a budding photographer. Give it up for Isabella Anaya.
What keeps me awake at night? Is it someone walking down the hallway? Is it the cars from outside driving way too fast to feel alive? Is it the silence you hear for a split second that makes you wonder if you're still staying inside? All of this keeps me awake at night, as well as the thoughts of why I should stay alive. I stare for hours into complete darkness, thinking of all the wrong I've done in this cruel world. But what I do doesn't matter. So why spend time on thinking what I did? Because yet again, what I do doesn't matter. The next person won't know what I did to make something matter. I've gotten to a point to where I live more without a care, but I want to be known as someone who tried, someone who put her time into trying to figure out this game called life, this confusing, frustrating game. I feel like it won't ever end. It's a roller coaster with no time to breathe, going up and going down, holding myself tight just in case I fall off. I've tried to escape time during the night, but it's a dead end with no time to hide. I have a love-hate relationship with staying awake during the darkest hours, the long sleepless nights, screams of what I did wrong or did right, so I fight the things people have done to me. Keep me awake at night. I think and think and think until I am completely exhausted, or I feel like I am dreaming. It's an intense feeling. It's like something wrapped around your throat and you can't breathe. You try to breathe, but you can't breathe. Sometimes I catch myself gasping for air. In the end, people will always leave you. Whether it's someone leaving you somewhere you don't know at night, with nothing but sadness and insecurity to hold you tight, when you wish they were there by your side, maybe if I was pretty enough, he would have stayed that night. There I go again that day, catching my breath, trying to breathe, making up excuses for why he should be free. So sometimes I will go and hide in the world. I will climb as high as I can, not looking back, because maybe if I climb high enough, I will finally catch my breath. In the end, no one remembers you, right? So what keeps me awake at night? Too much to list with no little breath, but in the end, I just want to breathe something correct. So I will say good night, hold on to time as tight as possible, and go live the best nights of your life.
Thank you, Isabella. Our final poet for round one. Loves to run at Mount Tabor with her teammates. Would really like to learn how to play the violin or pole vault. That would be cool too. And former shell collection haver. The shell collection is no more. This is Poetry Slam veteran Gigi Bareilles.
This is an address to the people of the USA. I am America's living pipe dream, and you will never hear my silent scream. I carry the weight of an unfree nation, but my lips are encased in stone. I was made that way by oppressive hands, by no accident, by no mistake. I was built as a paper prop of democracy they were staging. I can do nothing but watch, eyes blazing, as neighbors point shaking hands at little brown girls. Why are you crying? They demand with disproportionate rage. How could you be sad? Little girls can't explain that Floyd was their brother, Breonna their mom, to which I would respond. Are my unshackled wrists truly free, or do the past drag behind me in a bundle of memories I can lay on the kitchen table like photographs? Brown bodies shoved by police in peaceful protest, brown bodies murdered in their own homes. The gunshots leave us deaf to brown body cries on the borders of death, knee on neck. Brown bodies lie forgotten. Would that be my brother, my cousin, my sister, my aunt, my mom, my dad, my grandfather? Would that be me? I am a statue. And I carry this grief with no relief. I carry this burden with pride for my people, but I cannot thrive. I am more than a political symbol because I am alive. I am just like every other memory of freedom, adorned with shadows. My weighted crown cuts into my skin like the lies we tell our children, like the books removed from schools, like the two sides of the Holocaust taught in Texas. My broken voice has boiled over and cooled many times, like waves crashing, like dreams dashed on our streams and shores that will forever be stolen land and closed doors to those who don't fit that Eurocentric skin type. I wish I could wipe away the trauma for you, but all I can do is tell these pigeons I am just a statue. The things I've seen turn me green. My unspoken words will die as I do now and sink like rotting fish beneath the tide to become fossilized. Letters scientists may one day piece together to find the words I could never say. I am the Liberty statue. This is for you, America, before I'm gone to rust and oxidation. This is for you, unbeautiful America, to a country built on exploitation. Here, in the real world, justice is a gold standard that doesn't exist. I am, after all, made of pennies.
That concludes round one of our Poetry Slam. Great job, everybody. Here's the plan. We'll take a short intermission. I'm going to bring out the snacks that I promised earlier. Snacks and treats and drinks while we do a little bit of math. It's not hard math, but it is important math. Going into round two will be the top scorers from round one. Those poets will then present a second original poem in round two. The aggregate score from rounds 1 and 2 will determine the top 3 poets of the evening. Those 3 poets will travel across the river to Verslandia on April 28th at the Arlene Schnitzer Auditorium. You can purchase a ticket yourself online for $10. Those people will get to go for free. And bring some guests. What am I leaving out? Oh, the people who win also get some cash from me as a prize, and of course bragging rights of being the poets with the mostest here at Franklin High School. So, without further ado, we'll take our short intermission break. Please stick around for round 2. You'll hear more poems from more poets, well, the same poets, new poems from the same poets, some of them, not all of them, based on the scores we're tabulating now. Stick around for some snacks and some music. We'll start round 2 again soon. Thank you so much. Now is the time of the Poetry Slam where I announce the poets who will be moving on to round 2. All of our poets are wonderful. All of our poets shared pieces of their souls today here in front of you, and all of our poets are winners, absolutely. Based on the scoring, shout out to Eleanor and Avi, the math geniuses. Yes. Based on our scores, 9 poets will be moving on to round 2. 9 poets will be sharing an additional poem with you today. Before I announce those names, I'd like to also give a shout out. Our own Allison Sutherland designed the new Poetry Slam logo. And is the recipient of a Petite Provence gift card. Thank you for designing that. Do you want to say anything about your logo, Allison? Allison is glad that everybody likes it. All right. Thank you, Allison. It's a great logo. Solid logo. Okay. Now I'll be announcing the 9 poets that will be moving on. We have an additional poet, a special guest poet, who will be joining us just for round 2, and I'll announce that person as well. I'm gonna say all 9 of the names, and then we'll clap really hard for all 9 of them at the end of the 9 names. Here we go. Round 2. Georgia Newman, Gigi Bareilles, Lily Rudine, Shayla Santa Cruz Kriegbaum, Anna Gunderson, Frankie Silverstein, Evan Lewis, Fiona Constantine, and Darius Zerrock. Heartfelt congratulations to all 9 of these poets. You'll be sharing a second poem. Thank you to all 19 of our round 1 poets. We have our very special guest poet who will be kicking off round 2. This is someone you haven't heard from yet. This is Felix Hoff, a new poet. Felix Hoff, give it up for Felix.
I remember being bullied constantly as a kid. Oh, I'm sorry, not bullied. Teased. Because my experience couldn't possibly count as bullying. Because unlike my sister, they weren't going out of their way to make fun of my achievements and my mistakes, my likes and dislikes. And they were friends. It's okay if we're friends. If I'm your friend, I can't hurt your feelings. Yeah, maybe I believed that once. But I'm grown now. I know right from wrong. I know that words hurt more than fists. And that staying silent can be louder than words. I remember how you used to make fun of me for reading so many books, saying I didn't need to check out 5, 6, 7 books at the library, saying if you carry so many, you'll hurt your back and you don't want to have back surgery when you're older, or don't complain when you carry so many. I never did. I never do. I never complain. And when I do, it's because you did first. I was never allowed to. I was never allowed to share my muses, my worries, or my woes, because they weren't important to you, so I never spoke. And as the years went on, you tried to take me out of that shell you forced me in. I only came out because I was tired of hiding. But then you wanted me back in again. Then you wanted me out again. Again and again, you tried to satisfy your selfish needs, carrying out what I wanted. You know what I can't remember? Feeling of love. Truly feeling loved, and the feeling of happiness. Pure euphoria. It's hard to say I ever felt such things. It's hard to say I was even here, because in my memories that stand, they're not of my tale, but of being pushed to the back of the room, to the dark. And in my memories, I am just a side character, never the main one. Just a credit below yours, in a long list of names that people have never heard of.
Thank you, Felix. I've added the 9 names into our punch bowl of poetry here. Pulling out our first round 2 poet, and that will be Evan Lewis.
Okay, to preface this, pretty recently I got out of a really difficult relationship where my partner was chronically suicidal, and it was really hard. And this is my interpretation of that through the 5 stages of grief. Please wake up tomorrow. I know that you will, you must, but still the empty rattle of pills down your throat might bend your will, filling you, yes, but killing you quicker. I know you would never sever this tie we have, this mutually assured devastation. You surely would not, in a moment of desperation, choose annihilation over a warm embrace. Surely you would not. Please wake up tomorrow. Would you dare not to? Does the thought of rotting in a grave, collecting bouquets like tokens of sorry for your loss sound noble? How can an act of pity be so selfish? You say it's for the best, but a happily ever after shouldn't leave razor blade bloodstains pooling in your palms, petals blooming and blossoming. Please wake up tomorrow. Wake up, because if you don't, I will find you and I will wring your neck. I will eat you up and spit you out, and I will shake you awake and make the pills spill out of your lips like raindrops on your tile bathroom floor. Please wake up tomorrow. I can't be your personal hospital, your good doctor. It's so difficult, but I swear, if you make it through tonight, I will find the right words, the right gifts wrapped in pretty pastel pink paper. I will part your hair, and I will watch you cry, and I will lick the salted tears from your face, and I will never quite be myself for you. I will be perfect. If I can be shaped to replace the disgraced faces in your mind, then take me. Take me into your thin, whittled hands and mold me into your armor, your weapons. Use me to save yourself from yourself. To you my bones I gladly give. Please, wake up tomorrow. Because if you don't, I will surely dream with you forever. I will cover your loving eyes with my palms, slick, glistening with tears and sweat and blood and bile. I will lay beside you, tired and unsurprised, and I will sing a lullaby so softly that you may have been able to hear it if you were alive. Waking up, taking a shaking breath, rays of sunlight slicing shade into strips like reddened slits down your forearms, oozing bright sunshine, diamond encrusted, glittering, glinting against your skin. I would say, good morning, but sparkling pinpoints broken against the rising light would be the only reply. Please wake up tomorrow. I resign your life unto you again. Another soul is a burden no man should hold, so the choice is yours. I am powerless as my palm strikes my jaw again, until I cry out without sound, without tears, without anything. It is no longer up to me. My black headboard is icy as I slide my back down and I curl inward against myself, a desperate escape attempt. I resign myself to you tonight and every night. I love you, but I am so scared. Good night.
Evan is our tallest poet tonight. Coming up next, Darius Zek Rock.
Every time I think about you, yeah, my heart gon' skip a beat. Every time I leave without you, I think I lost everything. Never wanna be without you. Do you ever think of me? Thinking I lost everything, cause everything is letting me. Everybody leaving me and now my heart is leaking. When you're not around, my head just steadily be tweaking. Now nobody with me and I'm by myself still weeping. There's no point to be awake, so I'll just go to sleeping. If you wanna be with me, then stay with me every day. Stay stay with me every way. Obstacles will always stay, we pushing them cause that's our play. I'm thinking that you'll be my bait, it's looking good like a Dune. I shoot my shot, no fade away. Every time you think about me, yes, I'm really blushing out. Think about you every day, and now I'm just gonna say it proud. Yes, I'm gonna say it loud, I can say it to the crowd. Stay with you through all the sound, they hate on us like we a cloud. Love is crazy, it be shifting, turning all around the globe. Staying with me, all I want is you at my crib, not alone. If I hurt your feelings, then I'm sorry, just let me atone. I'll forgive if you can give the sorrow that goes to the bone.
Our third poet of round two is Lily Rudine.
The vibrant orange blaze ripples, burns across my skin, flames ripping scars in its wake and cutting in, my seething blood seeping out and leaving the taste of metallic on my mouth. The smoke rises, choking my screams and encouraging my chance to hide this starting all over again inside my room. But it's better than thinking of you. To those who didn't listen the first time, this is Stop Touching Me Part 2. Warning, this is where I plan to wash my hands good as new. To anyone who thought they could touch someone without permission, this one's for you. It's because of you that I want to rip the skin off my bones with the hope that I'd never feel you there again, disregarding the word no and everything else I command with it. But you've never felt my skin light up in fire. Never known what it's like for that weight to crush in tighter, being ignored when you say stop it now, sitting in a classroom with your assaulter a few seats down, staying awake at night only wondering how. Well, I'm done pretending I can just burn off the layer of skin you touched. It's more than that deep. With these flames tearing through the roots in me, I need to burn them out. I have no more energy to apply the healing salve. My scars are still there, and I can't ignore that now. So with Title IX, unresponsive, my control, and a watered-down conscience, I'm done. I don't care if everyone in this room is telling me I need to forgive you. I will never forgive you for making a 9-year-old girl teach a grown-ass man how to fucking behave himself. But what am I to do when the only thing that seems to put out the fire licking away at my skin is the sea of people who know what I've gone through? Now let that sink in. Every time a person used their voice told me that I also deserve that choice, I'm done feeling like I'm only smoke and background noise. This time, I'm diving down deep when I tell you to stop touching me. I'm ignoring the words you put on repeat and won't accept the lies of yet another man considered untouchable, unlike me. So I'm here with the waves that drown out the shame as I water the flowers that bloom out of mouths, sprouting on the tip of my lips, their unraveling folds spreading out to the brink of it, growing out of my charred skin, repairing the damage conflicted within and encouraging reconciliation in my skin. Then I'll let their thorny stems twist around your necks and strangulate any doubt of power left, then drag you to the garden beds and lay you to rest. I'd like to address my attention to any survivors left. Take these words I've conveyed and know that yours, whatever they are not mistakes. Don't let them stop you from blossoming out of the rain. Know that you are taking pain, turning it into power and something brave. Know that it's for your sake.
Next up, Shayla, Santa Cruz Goodbye.
Every night before I lay my head to rest, and every morning before I look my best, I observe my face in all its raw glory. From my shiny forehead to the dull hairs on my chin, every feature is picked at for flaws to discard. Whether it be larger pores on my cheeks or darker hairs above my lip, a ballad rather than slander is what my raw face deserves. Starting at said shiny forehead, I lift up my bangs to reveal an alpine landscape of dewy pink splotches. This mountain is here to protect my gigantic brain, and the splotches are just for the artistic touch. So-called beauty experts would bring concern to why at only 18 my hairline is so high up, but trust me, it isn't receding. It's the knowledge, rhymes, and lessons being stored in this headspace. A couple miles down are the brows that perk and scrunch when something gets on my nerves. Some would say that they are overgrown. I would say they're just biodiverse. The stray hairs and faint unibrow bring character to my garden and leave grooves and such shock they need to be carried off in a hearse. 2 steps down are the eyes that expose my vulnerability, where rivers flow out every 3 to 5 business days. Experts would say that crying too much would make your eyes puffy, but who's really watching me shed tears thinking, this bitch is ugly? These eyes are elders, left eye needing a crutch to work out, but with right eye support boasting the bullshit experts spew about. Down the road is the nose, busy with blackheads and jewelry. Septum rings so big to the beauty world, it makes me a liability. Yes, I can breathe correctly, and the point is to look like a bull. My vision of beauty will never be clutter-free and dull. The neighbors to the nose are the cheeks that are supposed to be shrunk down fat-free. But if my cheeks were fat-free, there would be no space for kisses to be smothered by my missus and my mother. Where we set ship is at the lips and chin, where complaints are deeply set in. I am told that my chin is not supposed to have extra blubber or my lips to boldly blabber, but beauty isn't silent or exclusively thin. True beauty is what you craft from the within. True beauty is what you project outside. True beauty is free of judgmental minds. I love my flaws because they were crafted for me, and I won't let beauty experts craft me to blur the insecurities. I strive to have fat, a loud mouth, and odd makeup taste, and I'm honored to make shit awkward with my ugly-ass face. So, while I craft up this face and place it on a silver platter, when you pick up your fork, take a bite and savor, while you chew and swallow what I crafted in the kitchen. Tell me, beauty experts, how the fuck does my raw face taste?
Our next poet is Gigi Bareilles.
This poem is called What They Don't Tell You. What they don't tell you in history books about protesting, about wars. As a civilian, you are stranded. They don't tell you how paralyzed you'll be, how frozen you'll feel, how guilt-ridden, tongue-bitten. You will forget Russia's waging war and then spend the rest of the day shocked that you could forget it all. You will feel small and insignificant. What they don't tell you in the history books is about the TV. When you turn it on, the news will be breaking. It will make your stomach drop. With crazy crimes and wild times, it will never stop. What they don't tell you in the history books about protesting, about wars, you will never fixate on the trauma that is sure to follow you. You will never focus because it will eat at you like a cancer, like a weed, like a seed. You will shift your attention to anything that could possibly distract from the people leaving their homes before the bombs catch up to them, raining down heavy, so much bigger than hail. You will focus on getting to class, try not to be late. You will focus on moving forward because God forbid you sit and contemplate. You will focus on the person you want to date, anything as a distraction that the world could keep from action, but something will be your breaking point. You will get halfway through the final episode of your favorite show, but now your phone is dying and you are crying, and now everything in your universe will come crashing down and you just might drown. All of it at once, all of it. The papers and pieces and bookmarks and bills will fall in your lap. You're so selfish. You only looked in the mirror today. Your mind will rewind. That's what the history books don't say. What they don't tell you in the history books about wars, how scared everyone will be. Safety was never a guarantee. They don't tell you in the history books about protesting. Police will beat you with batons. Your elderly neighbor, they would have beat him too. Push him onto the concrete and keep walking when the blood leaks out. Pools in the street, in the dirt. Keep talking when your head is still spinning. The camera will pan away and you will never know if that man on TV got medical attention. In the history books, they don't tell you how that image will never leave your mind. It will invade your daily life. Even when the war sounds are far away, Ukrainian faces will fill your feed. They will be sobbing. They will look like your cousin. The caption will be, "We are hiding in the subways." There won't be a punchline. A reporter will inform you that people didn't want to leave, that there is a town preparing to be bulldozed. They build sculptures of twisted metal that seem so beautiful until you realize they're to slow down the tanks. You will see a shoe amongst the rubble. Without its double, the story is nothing like Cinderella. You don't bother wondering if she'll ever get it back because you already know the answer. The history books pretend that blurry pictures of injustice are from a long time ago, but the same shit is being done today in Ukraine, and now the photographs are in focus.
Next up to the stage, we have Gunderson.
I am defined by numbers. When the whole world tells you that your worth adds up to 0, you force yourself to find a way to make it count, and I've been counting for a very long time. It started with that little 5-year-old, her head full of dark thoughts, her biggest secret that she had to jump up and down 256 times before school every day, or something unimaginable would happen, something too terrible to think about. Because 2 times 2 is 4, times 4 is 16, times 16 is 256, and for some reason that number was good. Good enough to prevent infinite tragedies, worlds of despair stopped by a single touch. To the 12-year-old, who spent her afternoons researching the top 10 ways to burn 100 calories. Calories. How many calories from licking a standard American envelope? How many calories in one serving size of toothpaste? The calories in flavorless soup crackers or a single pretzel? I had lost my mind in a sick game of the easiest way to fade my body into nothingness. A mental calculator was formed and it still hasn't gone away. To that little square of plastic that lies in the corner of every bathroom and serves no purpose but to tell me what a failure I am, that mocks the distortions I see in the mirror, that mocks me because there is a sense of nostalgia in looking at the scale, and it shouldn't be this hard to just walk away. Why can't I walk away? But it mocks the body that no longer looks the part of being sick and shows a flashing number that tells me just how worthless I am. To when I was at a sleepover in 7th grade and everyone started rating the boys in our class, 1 to 10, ooh, he's hot, what do you think, Anna? To freezing and hiding and shutting down and wondering what on earth that scale meant, and hiding from pretty girls today because I was supposed to understand. To report cards, those numbers will never be enough. Those numbers show the percentage of value that I will never be. Listed in black and white, how much I failed myself, because no matter how many times people tell me that they don't matter, that they don't define me, they are the only thing that will ever define me. These numbers make up my existence, my value, like my life is a test, and for some reason, no matter how hard I try, I keep on failing, because the number of people who think I'm pretty will never be enough. The number of shitty things I've been through will never be enough. Like life is a contest of who got it the worst, and I just keep adding and adding and adding, and it doesn't matter how high that number is, it will never be enough. It seems so simple from the outside. Just stop paying so much attention to these numbers. But I've never been able to. My mind just likes to calculate things. I can't stop calculating every fucking thing. But no one knows these numbers except me. So maybe one day I'll learn how to clear the calculator.
Thank you, Anna. Next up, we have poet Frankie Silverstein.
have a fear of abandonment. I have a fear of semi-abandonment. Houses that are full of people and void of love. Friendships in memory and in nothing else. Gravestones whose epitaphs are free from ivy and also visitors. The worst thing in the world is to be loved, but not enough. I'm not afraid of the fact that everything is temporary. I am afraid of the semi-permanence that pervades every aspect of life. They will recall what I left behind, but not what I took with me. Buddhists painstakingly create sand mandalas, grain by grain, flowers like the ones that won't be left on my tombstone. Circles, always circles. Everything comes back to haunt me. Once completed, they are ritualistically dismantled. Dismantled, not destroyed. Semi-abandoned, impermanent. Do they look at their creations like the God that maybe exists looks down on us? Do they find what they are searching for? Is that why they destroy them? The worst thing in the world is to love, but to not love enough. Now, do you know the meaning of life? You don't have to answer that. I hope you don't. The Mandalas try to tell us that the questions are more important than the answers. They try to remind us that when we spend our whole lives attempting to attain perfection, we forget that perfection in itself is flawed. We look into that void for too long and we forget that places are not filled with love. We are. Our memories are where we store it. Gravestones are not the end. Instead, they're just the beginning where someday in the next life, we can smell the flowers that so many people thought about leaving. The worst thing in the world is to not see the love around us. The best is to be able to return it.
Next up to the stage, Fiona Constantine.
I was born at near midnight, with a name that was not my mother's nor my grandfather's. I was born at near midnight, with the name of relatives I've never met, culture I have never known, heritage buried and lost in generations. I was born at near midnight with family I could count on two hands, spelling out my last name, C-O-N-S-T-I-N-T-I-N-E, slower again, S-T-I-N-T-I-N-E, like people never took a history class, avoiding questions of ancestors, faster than a twig snaps perhaps. If I wished hard enough, I'd have better ones. I was born breathing Fiona Apple's criminal, subliminally understanding. I had no heritage, and I had no culture. I was born at near midnight with a name from my dad's favorite singer and a long-dead Roman emperor. I was born with a grandfather who couldn't speak more than mumbles. I was born with no grandmother to teach me German or cook spätzle. I was born mourning a family I never had. But as the winds change to spring and the rain sings and the people cling to one another, I know being born to mourn doesn't get you very far. I may have inherited no heritage, I may have collected no culture, but I have cultivated it. And every trembling needle on shining vinyl, and every tremor of fingers against flesh, and the crackle of old books, burn of coffee in the throat, bleed of ink upon the page, and every crinkle of eyes and guitar string sighs, in lavender skies and poetry revised, I have cultivated my culture. Gone are the days of sorrow. I welcome celebration and creation of heritage. I welcome tradition transformed instead of mourned. I was born at near midnight, with a name that is nobody's but my own, and I have sown the seeds of my design, and I have heritage, and I have culture, because not every story starts at the beginning, and not every family ends in blood.
The bull has chosen Georgia Newman.
Damn, I got a fan club already? Okay. This piece is called Leek. Like L-E-A-K, not like the vegetable. Just so we're aware, like celery, okay. I think I speak for the world when I say 2020 poisoned us. We changed, we grew, we cried, we suffered, but for those of us who were already fragile, hitting a rotting tree with an axe and expecting it not to fall. The emotional pain can get so bad, the battle with physical agony seems backwards, doesn't it? Slicing my skin open to stop the ache, watching the blood drip down my thigh, sighing from relief, finally that stress off my shoulders. It could be something tiny, like running out of gum that makes you crack. When your bucket of stress is already full, it only takes one drop to make it spill over. It seems so stupid to the rest of the world, but when I see my skin separate after raking that blade across it, euphoria. One slice in that bucket to drain the stress, 2 slices, 3, till my body has been permanently scarred from my pain, like relief, finally knowing your ache is validated on the outside, something physical people can see to know your suffering isn't all in your head. I used to be so scared of pain. Now I crave it. Why is my mind like this? Addicted to a blade. I don't think of them as marks of how weak I was, but more of marks of how much I've overcome. These scars that decorate my wrist are battle wounds that remind me of how strong I truly am, a physical reminder to look at when I struggle, to get back up when I fall. No matter how high the tumble was, I'm able to get back up, I'm able to move past, I'm able to overcome.
Now's the part of the show where we will spend a brief intermission tabulating our round 2 scores, adding them to our round 1 scores, creating one mega score for each poet. That score will tell us who will be our 2 representatives at Verslandia and our 3rd alternate, 3 students from Franklin traveling to Verslandia. And we'll find out soon. Join us. Please stay for a short while longer. I know we've gone significantly over our time due to events not under our control. We have the film.
I already have it.
She's got it already.
I got it.
Okay.
Should I do it? No.
All right. We're gonna double check. Okay. And I cannot stress this enough. Very brief intermission. A little bit of music. I'm gonna double check with our math person right now. The results of our 2022 Franklin High School Poetry Slam. Once again, please join me in celebrating all 20 of our poets today. We've tabulated the scores. Our top 3 are headed to Verslandia, but our top 5 are receiving cash prizes today. In 5th place, I have Anna Gunderson. Our 4th place poet is Georgia Newman. In 3rd place, our alternate for Verslandia, who will be attending, Gigi Bareilles. Our second.
Do we want the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st?
Oh yeah, please come up to the stage, everybody.
Want to take pictures?
Yeah, please come up. All right. Yeah, that's great.
That's right.
Our 2nd place poet, who will be attending Verslandia to represent Franklin High School. In 2nd place, Lily Rudine. And finally, our 1st place poet, the winner of our 2022 Franklin High School Poetry Slam, it's Shayla Sanders. Thank you. Once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for rolling with this adventure. Please support this Sam. I had a great time and I hope you did too. Please take some snacks for the road and find a trash receptacle for anything that may not be going with you. Again, I'm Ann. I'm the Franklin High School librarian. You can follow us on Instagram at Franklin Library PDX. To see photos from the event tonight and exciting information of other events we've got coming up. Thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome! Thank you to our sound folks in the back. We've got Abby, Hazel, and Sydney on the ones and twos. Thank you again to our incredible judges. What a hard job! Thank you, judges. Thank you, PTSA. Thank you, parents, for raising these poets. Thank you, friends, for supporting these poets. Thank you, poets, for being poets. Have a great night. Travel safely. Thanks again.